Hello and welcome back to another week of Sambo iRacing. We're back in the Ford Mustang GT4, this time at Portland for yet another track guide. Now, if you're going to run this in the open setup Falcon series, the multi-class series, and you want to race the exact setup being driven in this track guide, or you want to race the endurance variant, or the quali, or the different wet variants, all you need to do is go to our website, sambosetups.com, or our Patreon page. There are links to both in the description. As always, we're going to do a hot lap and break down them. We'll be back in the cockpit one final time with the driving line on. Any questions, let me know in the comments, but the track temps are already shown bottom left hand side of the screen, so you don't need to ask about that. Anyway, enjoy the guide. So here we are, smashing it down the main straight, looking for the 500 board on the left hand side, braking up to about 60%. We're going to trail it off a little bit harder and then don't get back on the gas until you've settled down after that second curb. Back on the gas, we're looking for just before the 100 on the left hand side. We get on the brakes to about 50% and we're just trailing it off now, slowly picking back up on the gas in third. We don't quite make 100%, then we're lightly on the brakes, back on the gas, and again we only just sort of creep up to 100% before we're back on the brakes again. Very technical track this. Going to head over to the left hand side. When this line flattens out, we're on the brakes to about 55%, short trail off this time, and again very patiently back on the gas in second. If you are someone that enjoyed smashing it out of a corner with your right foot flat down, you're going to hate Portland. Right, we come up to the very tricky final section. So at the 300, we're going to get on the brakes to about 60%. Little blip of gas, little blip of brakes again. Over to the left-hand side, we're just holding the brakes very lightly. And now we're slowly picking back up on the gas in third. I don't like Portland. Not in this car, but I hope you do. Right, and over and across the line we go in a, frankly, ridiculous 15.3. Breakdown lap coming up next. Right, so breakdown lap. First braking marker, this 500 board on the left-hand side. Track maps finally worked out where we are. Brilliant news. So we get on the brakes and just to around 60-65%. Don't over-brake, doesn't like it. We're wanting to cut this corner on the right-hand side now. In the GT4s, it's a lot easier than it is in the LMP3s. We then increase the brakes just slightly to make sure that we can then trail off and get through this next corner. We can take a little bit of curb there. It's the reason why the car's now up on two wheels. And then we start getting back on the gas once everything's planted back on the floor. Going to head over to the left-hand side and we're looking for the 100 board. So it's actually just before we get to the 100 board. Maybe that Marshall Soot's a better thing to use. So once we get alongside the Marshall Soot like I am now, we're on the brakes to about 50-55%, and it's a relatively long trail off ish until where we are now in between the first two corners on the right hand side, because it's more or less a double apexed corner. So we start picking back up on the gas, but we only get up to sort of 60%. We're going to hold it around there until we can see the apex right ahead of us of the next corner on the right hand side. I think that's turn 5, and then we're just holding the brakes at around 10% until we get over to the corner itself and on the curb. Then we get back on the gas. We almost get up to 100%, and then we're immediately braking for turn 6. So again, just holding it around 20%, long trail off, and then we start getting back on the gas. We just reached 100%. Now we want to head over to the left-hand side. If you look at this white line, you can see it's angled, and then it goes in over to the left. It's once the car is fully in that straight bit, there we go, that's coming up here. We're going to get on the brakes to about 55-60%, and again, relatively short trail off. We start picking back up on the gas just ahead of the apex, but we don't get up to 100% until we're more or less at the exit. Right, we're looking for the, I think it's the 300 here on the right-hand side. So, yeah, so once we're past the 300, but ahead of the 200, get on the brakes to about 60%. We're going to trail that off down to this first apex. Then we get a little blip of gas, and then a little blip of brakes, slightly lighter this time. And then we get, yeah, we're basically wanting to modulate the brakes between about 15 and 20% all the way around here. And then we start picking back up on the gas once we've got our car over to the right-hand curbing for the final corner. We don't reach 100% until we're all the way out here. And it is very easy, by the way, to just counter-steer wrong and end up in that wall. I'm really bigging this place up, aren't I? Right, and over and across the line we go in a 1:15.3. We've got one final version coming up next with the driving line on without me talking. Enjoy.